Hello and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie and I'd like to welcome you to episode number 34 of Doodlegems. In this episode, we're going to be making a fun cut paper star that's going to be decorated with doodlegems and some doodling. So let's get started. Just going to show you a couple samples that I've made. There's this with the kind of green emerald type stone with the red ruby type stones going around it. These are all cabochon style. This one is sort of a fantasy gem. I kind of like that, and it's a little bit more like a faceted stone. So what we're going to do today is sort of a combination of the two of these. All of the stones are going to be cabochon, but the center is actually going to be a ruby, and the small gems are going to be emeralds. And then the little decorative elements on the points are going to be sort of this flower pattern. So let's get started here. I have templates for the star on my Pinterest page in 3 different sizes, all on one sheet. So you can print it out, cut it out, and then you can just trace. Or if you look up Betsy Ross Star or single Snip Star on YouTube, you'll find a whole bunch of videos that will show how to cut a 5-pointed star with one snip of your scissors on a piece of paper. But I wanted this on cardstock, so I didn't want to fold this paper and have all of those other lines on here that I didn't necessarily want for my finished project. And when we cut it out, the star is going to be cut out to look like this. But for coloring, it's a little bit easier to do it when you have a bit more paper around it to hold on to. To score with a ball end stylus, or you can use the backside of a butter knife. You don't want to use the sharp serrated edge. You want to use the dull backside of your butter knife, or a pair of kid scissors that have the rounded end to them. That works also. A bone folder works for scoring if you need to. Lots of different ideas. We will be using a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen Black ink in size S. There will be some white Uniball involved here. We may or may not use the pencil to get a couple guidelines. And the colored pencils I'm going to use for the emerald gem are going to be white, the spring green, Kelly green, the indigo blue. Then for the ruby, I will be using the white and the indigo, but I will also use Scarlet Lake, Crimson Lake, and Tuscan red. We're going to get started with the red gem. All right, so to get started on drawing in the gem, I'm going to use my indigo blue. There you go, the indigo. And I'm using the indigo because that's going to end up being the shadow color around this center gem when I'm done. And I'm just drawing sort of a circle. This is about the size of a silver dollar. An American silver dollar. So you could use something like that. You could just find something that's the right size. Maybe it's only the size of a $50. It's the size of a thread spool. You could just trace around it. And I'm not too worried about having gotten my lines a little bit wobbly. I'm lightly going in and just putting a little bit of this shadow color around the edge. And then I'm also going to, let's see, I think I'm going to rotate this. It's a little bit taller this direction. So I think I'm going to use that as the top. And color that in just a little bit with the blue. I want my Tuscan red to go pretty dark up in that area, and around these edges. So going over this indigo blue will make that red go really dark. Then there's also some dark, deep lines inside of this particular ruby. I am looking at a picture of a ruby on the internet so that I can get the colors and some of the shadows. That's not cheating. When you're doing things that are real, having a real reference in front of you makes it so much easier. And yes, I've looked at a lot of rubies, and I can do kind of a guess ruby. Guess and go. But, you know, why guess and have to worry about, well, am I doing it? Am I getting it right? Am I happy with that? Where I'm trying to teach you. So I'm just doing some, not really random, but kind of random looking lines. And if you look at this, I'm keeping the edges of it a little bit soft. I'm not making it a hard line. I'm coloring in softly. That's really an important thing to think about. And I am going to put some white down in here. So when I bring my crimson over it, I'm going to end up with a few spots where that ruby glows down in deep. Just a few spots, not the whole thing. Just a few areas. Now I'm going to go ahead and take that Tuscan red because I want to get this dark, dark, dark area in. I will be using a colorless blender also. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. It's part of my all the time kit. So I'm getting that dark in there. It's not looking like much right now. It looks kind of like a bit of a mess. But it's okay. Don't worry. Just breathe and just work your way through here. We're just going to, you know, lay in some of these dark, dark areas. Just lay them in. One of the nice things about laying lots of color down and then bringing your colorless blender over it is that it's got room to move color around. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab the Scarlet Lake, which is actually my brightest color. And I want that to end up going right over wherever I put that white and down into some of the blue areas. So this is a color that's actually going over everything, mostly. Now this is a warmer color than the blue, and that now the Tuscan is a warmish color, but it's not as warm as this scarlet. Scarlet is more like the cadmium red, if you're a painter. It's more orangey, actually, more warm. Then the crimson that I'm going to bring in is actually a much more blue or cool red. And what it's going to do is it's just going to spark this up a little bit. It's just going to kick us up a notch. And I think before I get too much farther here, I'm going to grab that colorless blender. Colorless blender. All right. So we're going to bring this colorless blender in and work our way around. Just work our way around. This stone is a deep toned, deep tone. That's something interesting that I found out when I was doing some research for this episode that I didn't know or didn't really pay attention to before when I did emeralds and rubies, is that emeralds and rubies have the same element in them. They have different mineral, but they use the same element. So they use an element called chromium to make the color. But chromium mixed with beryl makes the green color. And chromium mixed with corundum, which is the ruby, makes the red color. I was really surprised by that. I would never have thought that they had the same element causing that. So this really is a deep, deep, dark red type gem. And now what I'm going to do is bring a little bit of this red, this Crimson Lake, out around the edge just a bit, which will be like the light is glowing through. And then we will bring a touch of white over the top and around the edges. We will bring the indigo blue once more. But I want to bring some of this white right over the top of this edge. It sort of softens that out. It starts giving it this round glow to it. Gives a rounded glow. It starts lifting it, making it feel like it has depth. By putting the white on this dark area here, it shows you that indeed this area is really just a dark, dark red. And then we're going to take the white pen, get it started over here. We're going to take the white pen, and this one is going to get kind of almost like a window shape. In that white bright reflection right over the top. So now I've got it lined out just a smidge. I'm going to go ahead and just fill that in like that. I'm going to bring a little bit of this around the edge like that. Look at that. Wow. Now, I'm not going to do the green gems until after I've got the doodle drawn in. So, to draw the doodle, I think I'm just going to go straight to my pen and not worry about the pencil. To start off, I'm going to go ahead and throw the bezel around this gem. Okay. And then we're going to draw a second line parallel. I don't mind if my pen lifts up and the line breaks a little bit. That actually just makes it look like there's a highlight right down there. There we go. Now, I am going to, where this V is on each of these sections, I am going to draw a double circle. It will be a circle with a smaller parallel line circle on the inside. Or concentric, I guess is what it is. One inside of another. Those are the spots where the emerald gems are going to go. There's going to be 5 of them. Basically 1 for every point on this star. I want that one to be a little bit bigger. I did not line up exactly where that gem landed. If I had, I could have gotten it so everything would line up perfectly. You could put guidelines on here so that everything does line up perfectly for you, and that's fine. Now, I'm going to go ahead and draw my little organic, could be flame, could be flower, with these little swirly type leaves. But I think they're going to get double leaves. So I am going to be doing a swirl and a swirl inside of each space, just to get me started. Some of them are bigger spaces, and some of them are smaller. That's because this is a handmade doodle that I did not do any pencil lines on. So things land where they will. But they're pretty, and they will make people smile. They'll go, wow, how did you do that? And if they happen to be the lucky recipient of one in a card or in a little gift basket, all the better. So now I'm going to bring this stem up about it's about about halfway from the edge of the bezel out to the point. It's about halfway up. And I'm going to do that on each one of these. And I'm working towards the points. Working towards those points to give a place for that flower to go. And I am going to do a smaller swirl and join into the stem. It's almost like a little tree, isn't it? And a smaller swirl. Join into that stem. It's like a double stack of leaves. I'm looking forward to this holiday season. This is my first, well, actually it's my second holiday season on YouTube. But my first holiday season was during my very first month of being on YouTube. And I didn't really know how to plan things out. And so I was kind of late with stuff. It was later in the season than I really would want it to be now. And now I'm going to do sort of a long teardrop shape. And I'm going to just put more and more of those, sort of stack that on the sides. Like letter C's or parentheses. There we go. So this one is full, front and back, or left and right. Then what I'm doing is I'm starting sort of at the top of my teardrop shape, coming down, and each side is getting a little bit shorter and a little bit shorter on this one. Different ones, it ends up working out a little bit differently. And you might end up with more sides or less sides. More layers to your petal. Now, in a different situation, this could be a clove of garlic. Or it could be just a flower. See this one here, I started at the base and worked my way up, and it gave a bit of a different effect. They're all pretty. They all are starting with the same sort of teardrop or flame. Could be a flame shape. You can extend this line up over the top. You can give it little swirlies. And they don't have to go all the way to the top when you're doing the drawing on that side edge. One more. This one looks like it's just dripping down off of those leaves. And I think I want, coming off of these leaves at the base of each flower, I want another swirl, but I want it to be lifting up. Kind of like a skirt. Like a skirt swirling around there. There we go. We're almost done with our drawing. And then we'll do the emeralds and put a quick amount of color on those little flowers. And we'll be done. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? Wow, I'm excited about that. All right, so to get started on the emerald, you want to do that pretty quick. You just get that laid in. The emerald is very similar going in, but it's not going to be quite as detailed because we are doing smaller gems. So I'm thinking that these emeralds are going to have a bit of a bright color. I need to rotate this around a bit. If the light's coming from up here, then we're going to end up wanting the brightest color down on the bottom edge. And even though I got some extra green in there, it's okay, because generally you would pull this color up around anyway. It will just add more depth and dimension as we go along. And that was the spring green. Now I'm going to take the Kelly green, which is this lovely dark green. We're going to just work this in. I'm bringing this dark green over some of that bright green. There we go. Just bringing it in, bringing it around the edge. And you notice I'm actually leaving some brighter white spots. That's because I'm going to bring that colorless blender in, and I'll be pulling some of that dark in. it just makes these gems pop. You never know what light sources are around. I think I want to bring a little bit more of that spring green up in there. Just a little more of that. These emeralds, again, are not as resolved because they're smaller, but they're still bright. And they're still very prominent in that you can see them really well. They look like they're shining nicely. I'll grab that colorless blender. Make sure that I don't have any red from the ruby on it, because red will turn brown in this gem. I don't want that to happen because these gems are nice bright green emeralds. Look at that. Just smoothing it out, just that touch. All it takes. And we've got all that depth and all that area there that it goes in and out and rolls to the back. I really like those. I really, really like this. So I'm really glad that you joined me on this adventure, this holiday decorating time, or not holiday. It could just be because you want to do something for a friend. And if you like this video, I would love it if you would click that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this video with your friends, people who might be interested in learning how to do the Doodlegems or any of my other art videos. I have a few paintings. I have a few crafts. I'll be making more paintings and crafting type videos as we go along. What I'm doing right here is just taking that Scarlet Lake on the sort of flower gems, or flower doodles, sorry, on those flower doodles. And I'm coloring at the base. Leaving this area that would be highlight because it's the bulbing out space. And then where it all comes back together again up here at the top, I'm coloring that in with this red. So where it comes together is getting colored in, and where it's gathered at the base. Then I will make sure that I don't have any green now on my colorless blender. And I will pull the red from the base and the red from the top down into that highlighted area. One color pencil and a colorless blender, and you've got all of this variation of tone. I'm following the roundness of these flowers. I've decided they're flowers. Just follow that rounded shape. And that just gives more of that illusion that it is a three-dimensional. Just gives more of that illusion. It's a lot of fun. I love how these gems and the doodles that go with them are such little magic tricks. They're surprising. One, they're surprising at how easy they are. How easy it is to make them look so real. So looking at those other, look at that, all of that shadow, all of that highlight, all of the variation in tone, and we only used one color pencil and a colorless blender. Look at that. And remember, you can make these to tuck into cards. You can make these to tuck into cards, to toss on a desk, toss on tables, scatter a whole bunch of these on a table down the center, and maybe sprinkle it with a little bit of some silver glitter gems, beads or things like that. Now, I am going to cut this out, and then I'm going to score it. And when I score it, I am actually going to score it on the back side. And you'll see how easy this is to score. Once you've cut it out, you know exactly the spots that you're going to. Because it lines up from this in part here to the point. We'll be making a score line across on all 5 points. There we go. Almost done snipping this out. I know it's not very exciting seeing me cut, but you see I overcut just a little bit, and that's okay. You're not even going to notice it when we're all done. And after you're done trimming this out, if you didn't get all of your pencil line off from tracing your star, you can take an eraser and just run an eraser around the edges just to clean it up. Just clean it up. Be careful when you're cleaning it up, though, that you're not running your eraser across the colored pencil, because you can pick up the colored pencil and move it around a bit. So now we are going to grab something that is a straight edge. What I'm going to do is line up from this point to this divot, or this innie. We're going from the outie to the innie. How about that? And we will take that ball end stylus and just make a score line. I'll pick it up so you can see. See that score line? We're going to do that from every outie to an innie. And what you want, the most important part, is just to get those lines in the center to cross evenly. Let's see here. The outie to the innie, and get your lines lined up so that the center crosses at the right point. So even if you're off a little bit on either the point or the outie or the innie, you want to have those lines converge at the same place in the center. So just take a second, line yourself up, And even if it's not perfectly in this outie or the innie, you want those converging lines in the center to be pretty darn close. Now, if it's not perfect, it's okay. One of the nice things is we're doing this from the back. See, because I am having there we go. I think I got it lined up. Yeah. But see, I wanted you to see that it can be a little bit frustrating thinking through this. How am I going to do it? So now, on each of these lines, you are going to fold your star. You're going to crease those lines. You don't have to run it hard, because if you run hard across here, you're going to peel your color off. You don't want that to happen. But you're going to just fold on every single one of those lines. And you notice the star does not have to line up perfectly. Those points do not have to line up perfect. But you're just going to fold on every single line. And to start off with here, they're just all going to be going on the same side. They're all going to be mountain folds right now. See how that's a mountain? And one more. Again, they're all going the same direction. Let's see here. Did I get that one yet? I did. Now, you're going to want your center lines of each point to go up. Your center line of each point to go up, and that will make this area here between go down into a valley. So you're pushing in and folding up, and pushing that in and folding up, and pushing in and folding up. And look at that. You have, you have this star with that gem in the center and those little green gems around the outside edges. A three-dimensional holiday ornament star. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. If you didn't like it so much, if you wanted me to do something a little bit differently, let me know. That's the only way I can find out how to make these better for you. And if you're not a subscriber yet, please subscribe to the channel so that you can find out when new videos go up. All right, so we've got these all done. I have a little soapbox that I want to stand on for just a second. I want to tell you that I believe that doing something for yourself at the holiday time is not selfish. If you take care of yourself, you can help take care of other people around you. So be good to yourself so you can be good to others. I want you to go out, do something creative, and take care of yourself.